Where is Russell Westbrook going? Your guess is as good as ours. The NBA offseason and free agency has been open for a while now, and it seems that everywhere you look, there's a big trade or signing that could affect things going forward for some of the big title contenders or the teams that are looking to make a big push this year. But naturally, given who is on the squad, many people are eyeing the Los Angeles Lakers to make some really big moves, and that includes getting rid of Russell Westbrook. So far, though, nothing has happened, and the trade rumors to keep flying about where he might end up. Number 4. Hornets. The Los Angeles Lakers have made it perfectly clear that they do not plan to give up first-round picks to move Russell Westbrook, but if a deal came along that wouldn't require significant draft compensation, well, that might be another story. Until now, interest in the former MVP point guard has appeared tepid, but in recent days there has been a bit of buzz about one team in particular, the Charlotte Hornets. According to the Ringers, Kevin O'Connor, Charlotte's interest in Westbrook is real. What is motivating that interest is a bit more complicated. The Hornets have LaMelo Ball, a young star point guard already on their roster, but in 2 years, they're going to have to pay him. Miles Bridges will be a restricted free agent next month, and the Athletic's Shams Charania is reporting that the Hornets are hesitant to sign him to a max deal. Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier are already on expensive long-term deals, and PJ Washington should join them next season. In other words, the Hornets are about to get very expensive very quickly, and Michael Jordan does not appear interested in paying the luxury tax. Even though we know he can totally afford it, but that's not the point. This is where Westbrook comes in. He is more expensive than any Hornet next season with a $47 million salary once he picks up his player option. However, his contract expires then, so if the Hornets want to save money for the long haul, they could send the Lakers, Hayward, Rozier, or any other unwieldy contracts on their books in an effort to clear up their finances for the future. Also worth noting here is that Kenny Atkinson, expected to replace James Borrego as Charlotte's head coach, ultimately turned down the job at the 11th hour to remain with the Golden State Warriors. That has allowed Mike D'Antoni, who coached Westbrook in Houston, to re-enter the fray. The Hornets are a team that many feel are on the rise due to the talent of LaMelo Ball, but they do need veteran skills and playoff composure. And whether people like to admit it or not, Westbrook has been deep in the players and even the NBA Finals during his time with the OKC Thunder and Kevin Durant. He could be a force to help get the Hornets over the hump for next season. But it might backfire too. We honestly don't know, and thus we must continue on to the next team that is rumored to want Westbrook. Number 3. Jazz. All of the Russell Westbrook trade buzz this offseason has been squarely centered on a potential deal involving the Nets and Kyrie Irving. Despite the Lakers' public campaign to convince rival teams they're willing to start next season with Russ on the roster, Kyrie's not-so-secret desire to become a Laker has driven the trade rumors bust. However, in his most recent article, veteran NBA reporter Mark Stein spoke with a source during the Las Vegas Summer League that thinks New York's other basketball team might be in the mix for Russell Westbrook if the Knicks can pull off a trade for Utah's Donovan Mitchell. The source is thinking, after adding Mitchell, New York would be expected to explore scenarios to trade away Julius Randle. And Randle, just one season removed from his breakthrough to All-Star and All-NBA status, is presumably the sort of player that the Lakers would have to consider taking on if they are unable to use Westbrook's $47.1 million expiring contract in a trade for Kyrie Irving. As Stein notes, the Lakers sending out a massive contract like Westbrook means that they'll have to bring significant money back to their cap sheet. There is a lot of curiousness with this potential trade, and yet the Utah Jazz at the moment are going through a phase of, well, getting rid of just about everything. No, really. They lost their coach, one of their star players, and might be getting rid of their other ones in Mitchell. Sure, we're not exactly capable currently of saying just how much Westbrook can bring to that time, but that's also not the point, is it? It would be whether the Lakers would be better with Mitchell than they would with Westbrook, and the answer is maybe. Look, after last season, anything and everything is up for grabs with the Lakers. They thought they had the Legends roster to win it all, and now they're floundering just to try and be contenders in a very stacked Western Conference. You could easily argue that they're just wanting to get some talent and that might help LeBron James, but previous attempts at that have failed for the most part outside of their one season where they won the title, and that was in the bubble. Regardless, there are others out there who might be hoping to get rid of Westbrook even if it's in Number 2, a three-way trade. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski made a recent appearance on NBA Today, and he reported an interesting possibility about Russell Westbrook. You look at where there's cap space right now, Wojnarowski said. A team like San Antonio could be a facilitator right now in, let's say, a Russell Westbrook-Kyrie Irving deal between the teams. They have the cap space. Now you would have to incentivize them at a pretty high level. Wojnarowski said that the Brooklyn Nets and Los Angeles Lakers have been talking. The Nets, swept in the first round, and Lakers missed the playoffs. Both had very disappointing seasons last year, and both sides are in a rebuilding mode that can't be denied or ignored. But there are some key uncertainties about that, mainly what each side is willing to give up in order to make the deal happen. Plus, there's also the fact that the relationship between LeBron James and his former teammate in Kyrie Irving can be described as tenuous at best, because we don't know what to believe or who to believe in terms of whether they like each other or not. And given the team chemistry is something that the Lakers don't have, it's something they need to have in order to win. Bringing in Kyrie Irving would be nothing short of throwing gasoline on a fire. And even the biggest of Kyrie fans cannot deny that due to what went down in Cleveland, then Boston, and now the Nets in Brooklyn, he comes in and is ready to prove everyone wrong about himself, and then he gets a bug up his butt and basically bails on everyone. It's ludicrous, ridiculous, and not something the Lakers need to deal with right now, especially with a new coach who is supposed to be righting the ship as it stands. Unless you're someone who wants the Lakers to implode once again, in which case, yeah, you want the Westbrook-Irving trade. Number 1, why people are so focused on this potential trade. The answer to that is simple. Russell Westbrook is one of the best players in the NBA. His talent has been known for years, especially when he was with the OKC Thunder, and in one season averaged a triple-double, something that players just don't do. But despite all of his talent, he can never truly get over the hump. The closest he got was with the Thunder when they had him, KD, and a young James Harden before he became the James Harden in many respects. He's never made the NBA Finals since. However, as this league and others have shown in the past, all it takes is the right trade to the right team and everything can change. Such as when the Lakers got Anthony Davis, and in the first season with the bubble playoffs, they won the NBA title. People are just curious about where he might go and whether he'll actually be able to help make a team better or not. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at Russell Westbrook and the various places that he might go in terms of a trade? Do you think any of these scenarios are possible? Or do you think that there's going to be a surprise in terms of who might get him and for what? Where do you personally want Westbrook to go? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.